All right, these are some of the tools you might need for this job. Well, you will need for this job. Um, you need a bike stand, front bike stand for your bike. Um, I'm using the hybrid from Pitbull, which it has a optional pin that that you could place through the triple tree, and it's that middle hole between your shocks. That pin's going to go in there. It's going to lift the bike from that point right there. Okay. Um, yeah, I don't want to make this video too long, but anyways, Pitbull has a really good setup. And with this setup where you grab it from the triple tree, you're actually able to replace the shocks yourself or service the shocks. If you're grabbing it from underneath, you can't do that. This stand will do both. Although I didn't realize that the other part that grabs from underneath, which is the I think it's called the fork swivel, those are separate add-on, and so I got to get those ordered, so I could put them through here if I want. I could take this apparatus off, and I could put them through here and just grab it from the bottom. Anyway, so you're gonna need a bike stand. You're gonna need these tools right here. A breaker bar, that axle nut, front axle nut, which is right here, is it's torqued pretty good. That's your little hex. So you're gonna need a hex nut. I think it's called, what is it called? Hex socket. My bad. I got this on Amazon, whatever. But there's a lot of different places on the bike where it requires those. Called a hex socket. Okay, so you're gonna need a 6mm hex socket, and this happens to be 1/4" drive, so you might need a 1/4" drive, torque wrench as well, because you're gonna want to torque these things down to the specified torques for safety. And this one here is a 1/2" drive torque wrench, and this is your 19mm hex socket, which is going to which you will need to remove that axle nut, that front axle nut, which is right here, this big one here that goes through your tire, through the hub. And then your brake calipers. You will have to remove the brake calipers from the bike before you drop the wheel down, otherwise you will damage your rim. Okay, that wheel will not fit and drop down between those calipers unless you remove them, like I have here. I got one there on to the side, and this is another thing too. With that Pitbull stand, they had an optional deal for a caliper mount, and so I had them weld that up like a post on either side, and there's these special little deals that you mount to those posts, which hold your caliper on either side. It's really slick. I really like it. Pretty cool. And it was only an extra $20. I think it's worth it. Okay. If not, you're gonna have to probably carefully zip tie those calipers out of the way somehow, maybe to your stand. I don't know. But anyhow, there's that. And then I forgot to tell you, it's a 10mm bolt that holds those calipers to the bike there. Okay. First step, you want to have the bike on a rear stand. Okay, you have to put it up in the air in a rear stand on the rear of the bike. Then you're going to loosen this bolt right here. Okay, this kind of locks in. Once you get the torque, the specified torque on your front axle nut. Okay, you're going to so once you get it torqued down, this is going to lock it in and pinch it and hold it where you have that torque set. So in other words, if you're removing it, you need to loosen this completely. This little lock, it's like it just locks in your torque once you have that axle nut going through there and you have it torqued down. This will keep it from loosening up from where you set that torque to. And the torque, from what I could find, it doesn't have it in the manual that comes with the bike, but I went online and I'm pretty sure it's 56 foot-pounds. So I'm going to put mine at 56 foot-pounds. You might want to look into that a little more deeply, but I think that's a safe torque for this front axle nut. The rear is 77. I was looking at specs from a 2021 MT09. I couldn't find anything else closer to, you know, the 2023 XSR 900, but I know it's a real similar bike, similar in size and everything, wheels and the rear. What they were giving me for the rear spec was exactly what it was in the manual for my bike here. So I'm pretty sure it's correct. So 56 is what I'm going to be putting mine to. And oh yeah, the bolt I just showed you here, okay, is 17 foot-pounds. Don't go more than that. You're going to end up snapping that bolt. It's a very small bolt. So 17 foot-pounds on that one. And then the caliper bolts that lock the caliper into the bike, 26 foot-pounds. 26 foot-pounds. Okay, that's all the information you should need. So anyways, like I was saying, lift the bike up in the back. You're going to loosen this first. And then you're going to crack the axle nut loose. Okay, it's torqued down to about 56 to 60 foot-pounds. So you know you might need a breaker bar. That's why I put the breaker bar here in the description here for the tools you might need. But maybe with a torque wrench and you're strong enough, standard torque wrench for this 1/2-inch drive, maybe you could just do with that. But anyhow, okay. So then you're gonna crack it loose here. And then then you definitely need to remove the calipers. Get those out of the way. Okay? And then you can take that axle nut all the way out, but you're going to have to hold the front wheel with one hand as you're pulling the axle nut out with the other, and you know what? I forgot to mention there is, yeah. So be careful of this right here. This is for your ABS sensor, and it's kind of delicate, you know, and it goes in here to the shock on the bottom of the shock there. Oh yes, to get these calipers out of the way, there are some hoses, right, for your calipers, for your brakes. And they kind of get locked into these little clips here. You're going to have to unclip these. They're kind of a pain in the ass, but you could figure it out. And they unclip so your hoses can pull away from the bike more. And that's on either side. And they're on the left side here. There is a reflector, safety reflector that goes through one of the bolts and then into the caliper. When you remount that caliper on there, okay? And that's it. And then you can get the tire out, take it to the shop. Oh yeah, make sure you protect your fender, all right? This gets a little floppy, and it can come back down on the fender and cause, you know, a scratch or whatever, so keep that in mind. But yeah, always protect this front fender with something, cloth or whatever. And that's it, man. Now I'm going to do everything in reverse order, and I got my tire. It's over here. I got it back from the shop. Got my Kenda tire I bought off Amazon. It's American Tire. I'm really happy with the brand. I've been using it on the rear. Be getting a lot more mileage out of the tires, and they're the same speed rating and stuff like that as the Michelin Batlaks that come with the bike when you buy it from the factory or from the dealer. So anyway, really happy. So I'm gonna throw that back in there and be back on the road. Hope this video helps you out. All right, just a little thought, a little tip. I know I'm gonna do it, but if you haven't seen one of my older videos, Clorox wipes I found are the best for cleaning your rims, getting the grime off your rims. They work really well. So I'm cleaning this rim up since I have it off the bike, a lot easier to clean. And I'm going to do the areas of the bike that I can't normally wax and clean with the wheel on, which is right in here. It's real hard to get to. And then underneath that fender, look at that. Because, you know, it's just hard to get to. You can't really clean it even with a pressure washer. It's hard to get up underneath that tire and that fender. But look at all that junk. So I'm going to go get a Clorox wipes. I'm going to clean all that out. Here's the wax I use. Mother's Wax. It makes a good wax too. I get this at AutoZone, I believe. Magyar's Ultimate Quick Wax. And you just spray it on, and you get a microfiber cloth, clean microfiber cloth, and you just buff it. You just buff it out, and it works really well. I don't like to use a whole lot of water and washing the bike that way. I do occasionally, every now and then. Water seems to make things rust if you can't get it dry, you know, in certain spots. So anyway, that's that. Okay, bike safely supported. The front tire is now removed. The calipers are hanging out on the side there on my stand. Now, when you bring this tire into the tire shop, I would go to a dealer. Like I said, I went to, anyways, I went to a place that wasn't a dealer where they work on bikes specifically. They kind of mostly sell gear, but they do motorcycle tires. Well, they mounted my tire onto my rim backwards. So yeah, I mean, they charge the same price as probably the dealers. The dealers try to stay competitive and get business. But anyhow, so before you take this tire in to get, you know, with your new tire, have them mount it, there's these little spacers that go into your rim there, where the little axle pin, I guess that's what you call it, I'm not sure. But there's your axle pin. Threaded on one side. Anyway. Take these out. Leave them at your house, because you're going to lose them. Or the bike place might lose them, because they don't need those. And I was told that before when I brought a tire in for service. So just leave these off to the side. And then you can bring this tire in with your new tire and handle it. Hope the video helped. I hope I saved someone from scratching the hell out of their rim by doing this procedure incorrectly. And so, hey, hope it helped. Take care. Alright, this stock tire was a Michelin Betlax. That's what came with the bike. It's a little bit softer. It's kind of like a track tire. We're going on the track. But I don't go on the track. And that tire is a lot more expensive. I think the rear is like $350 and this front's probably around $2 something. So online, I switched to a Kenda on Amazon, much cheaper, and it lasts longer. I get more miles out of it, a lot more. Probably about 3,000 more miles per tire on the Kenda versus these Michelin. So here's my front. Here's the Kenda American Tire. It's a 120 70 ZR17 58W TL. Kenda model KM001. There's all your information right there. And this is a direct fit for the 2023 Yamaha XSR 900. And it's rated, the speed and everything is rated the same as those higher end Michelin Betlax. Like I said, these are just a little bit harder. Okay, that's probably why they last longer, obviously. But I don't have any issues. I don't really feel that much of a difference. Like I said, if you're on the track, yeah, you're going to notice that. You're not going to want these. You're going to want something like a Michelin higher end track tire. It's a little bit softer and more pliable. But like I said, this is great. And I've gone super fast as a bike will go with no issues. Very fast around curves and corners with no issues. No slippage. So just throwing it out there. You guys do what you want, but this is what I'm doing because I want to save some money. All right, just a little thought, a little tip. I know I'm going to do it, but if you haven't seen one of my older videos, Clorox wipes I found are the best for cleaning your rims, getting the grime off your rims. They work really well. So I'm cleaning this rim up since I have it off the bike, a lot easier to clean. All right, the bike's cleaned up. I'm going to put this tire back on now. Remember, these grooves in your tire, these water tracking grooves, has to look like this. They got to be pointing at it in an arrow shape, pointing towards the rear of the bike. Hey, look, I had a guy mount my rear tire on backwards, so I'm starting to pay attention to that now. But the way you know too, if you got it the right way, as you're mounting this tire back on, because it kind of looks the same on both sides, you know. So you could actually put it on backwards yourself if you're not paying attention. Anyways, if you're facing the bike on the right side, you have this rotor with this little wheel here. I don't know what you call it, but I think it has to do with the like the sensor. Maybe it's the wheel speed sensor. But it doesn't have it on the other side. Okay? So that's how you know which side is what. And this always goes on the right side, facing the bike. And you got to make sure that the tire is mounted on the rim correctly as well, because they could mount it backwards on here. So it has to track going towards the rear of the bike. Okay. Thought I'd share this too. When you're putting the wheel back in by yourself, it could be a bitch, okay? And there's these spacers. Don't forget about those spacers. You got to push back into the bearing area on both sides of the tire on that hub. There's one there, and there's one that's right here. And it's a tight fit. And these spacers do not want to stay in. They want to keep flopping out. But I found out that if you put the spacers in real good on both sides, and you grab on either side of the rotor with your hands, you can kind of shove that wheel up there, and you can get it lined up with the hole without having those spacers fall out. And then you got to kind of reach over and grab the axle nut and slap it in there and thread it through. So I was able to do it on like the second, third try. But if you got someone to help you, man, or we could put like a jack, maybe some kind of a jack or something to raise the tire underneath while you're doing it, that'd be helpful. But definitely, if you had somebody like an assistant helping you hold the tire, or have somebody with the pin ready, so when you get it lined up, grabbing it by the rotor, someone else could slide that pin through for you. It would make it a lot easier. So now I got this pin in here, and I got to work it through. It's not quite all the way through yet. Okay, I got that main axle nut torqued down to 56, 57 foot-pounds on my torque wrench there. It's a 19 millimeter. Now I'm going to do this 6 millimeter. And this will lock in the shaft to where it's not gonna back off from where you have it torqued down to. It's gonna hold it in this torque setting that you put it to. And this is gonna be 17 foot-pounds. All right, I got another torque wrench on here. It's my 3/8 drive, and I have a little extension here with a 10 millimeter socket, and I put that caliper back on where it's supposed to go there, on that mount that comes off the shock. And make sure you put your reflector back with the bolt going through that to keep this where it's supposed to be. Don't forget about your hose here. You're going to lock this back in. Keep it out of the way. Oh, there we go. You should feel it like it has like a ratchet, kind of a crimp action to it. And then you could tell when it's locked back in on that hose there. 26 foot-pounds on these bolts here, right here and right here, to hold that put that caliper back on where it's supposed to go. And that's it. The other side, same way. Just be careful of that sensor wire. Make sure you not pinching at all that sensor wire right here. Okay, when you put it back on, be very careful, because it's real easy to damage it. And yeah, that sensor does ride on this little wheel. It kind of reads it as it's spinning. It's probably the wheel speed sensor or maybe an ABS sensor. But I don't know if you can see it. See how it, right here, that sensor, and it's right where this thing is going to be rotating past it. That's why it has to be on the right side there of the bike. All right, that's it. Once you do that, put the other caliper back on, torque it down, you're good to go. Back on the road. Okay, one last thing. When you take the calipers off and you go put them back on, you have to kind of get the fluid going again. So be careful because you're not going to have any front brakes at first. You got to spin the tire and then hit the front brake and keep pumping the front brake until it starts to engage and grab. So I could see somebody just trying to take off after doing this job, and you're not going to have no brakes for the first good 3 or 4 grabs of that front brake. So definitely want to be careful with that. Make sure that it's engaged now. You can spin the wheel. You don't hear anything weird going on. And when you hit that front brake, it stops that tire right away. Okay, make sure you do that, please. Thank you. Okay, job done. I was pretty impressed with it. It was pretty smooth. If you guys want this pit bull front lift stand for the Yamaha 2023 XSR 900, you need an optional pin. The pin is separate. You have to let them know you want this pin. It's a number 72 pin, and that's what lifts up from that triple tree underneath the headlight there. And these caliper holders are really nifty. I gotta say, I really like them. Makes it really easy to do that job, or even if you want to work on your brakes at some point, replace the brake pads, whatever. This is a really slick setup, and it's only 20 bucks more. I know it's like some of those restaurants where you got to pay for every item, you know, like fries separate, burger separate, drinks. Anyways, that's how they make their money, I guess. Oh, I forgot to tell them I wanted the fork swivels, because I guess you got to let them know that you need the fork swivels as well, which they kind of have. It's like a pin, and it slides in here, and it has like a fork like that, like a V, and that's where you're going to pick up underneath the forks there of the bike. If you don't want to use the other option here that goes underneath the headlight. So make sure, it's not much more. I would say just, if you're going to do it all and get it all. Because you're going to regret it if you don't. And it wasn't cheap, like $300 and something, but I mean, it's built really well. Beautiful TIG welds all over this thing. It's very strong. I have no doubts it's going to hold up for the life of this bike and beyond that.